everybody, it's Lisa Marie here. Hi, my sweet lifers. Today on another Martini Talks, I'm hanging out with my dear friend Tom Gerhardt. He has Stonebridge LLC partners, and we are talking about HR, staffing, helping small businesses, and helping young entrepreneurs and old entrepreneurs figure out what they want to do.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. Well, thank you so much for having me on. I really appreciate it. So I own and operate Stonebridge Partners, and it's an HR outsourcing company.
Right.
And it's designed to help the small business owners.
Right.
I came up with the idea with a business partner of mine, and we really saw a kind of a gap with some of the bigger box providers, the ADPs, Paychecks, and Disparities, and we wanted to really focus and hone in on the small business folks who might not get the necessary attention that some of the bigger people might get. So we just designed this HR outsourcing gig to help these guys out. So we can help with payroll, we can help with employee benefits, we can help with any HR related function, and we can do business insurance. That's kind of our specialty. So it's really parlayed itself into something really special because we get to talk to a lot of small business owners in the area and around the country, because we can help those here and away. And it's become very very beneficial in a way to kind of give back to the community. And I come from a very large corporate background where I did finance for years and years, and I never felt fulfilled in that capacity. And so helping the small business owners really fuels me and energizes me, and I love to see people succeed. And when we can help in just even the smallest capacity, it makes me feel like we're doing something impactful. So that's really the impetus for getting started in that business. And to kind of jump off what you also said, I also have my own solopreneur company. It's Thomas E. Gerhardt LLC, and what I do there is I help entrepreneurs and executives who are kind of trying to feel their way and navigate their way in uncertain times, and even if they're stuck in their jobs where they don't know the best direction to go in, I kind of help guide them. So I use my own experience, because I was stuck. I felt stuck in my own career for years, and I didn't know how to escape. And so I help them kind of align what their true passions are and what their true interests are. And I developed a roadmap, and we just walk through it together, and we try to figure out what best suits them and how they can proceed in a way that benefits them, not only in their career but in their life.
Right.
Because ultimately what we do is a big part of who we become, and if we're doing something that excites us, then we're probably a better person for it.
Well, and all of you guys that watch the channel and are watching multiple playlists, this plays into my whole living your passion, finding your gifts, what your calling is from God. And there's a very Christ-filled part of this channel, that's one of those things. And that resonated with me as well with you, is that you really are called to do this. And it's one of those things that you knew you weren't happy, and you knew you weren't actually plugged into what you were supposed to be doing. And now you are.
Right.
Not only helping small business, which is huge to me as a small business owner and entrepreneur. It's hard. You feel like you're out there in the wild blue yonder, and you don't have all these resources because you are little.
Right.
And when you've got somebody that can help you figure those things out, whether it be in a small way or a bigger way, it's amazing, because payroll, that sounds like something that's a big task.
It is.
Staffing, that sounds like that's a big task. But if you only need 3 people or 5 people or maybe even 10 people, it's hard to find somebody that can help you do that, because most of the companies really want to take care of the big guys, the ones that they can really make a lot more money on.
Oh yeah, and the big guys, they focus on their enterprise clients, the big revenue drivers. And what we determined was that the small business owners have a voice, and we need to make that voice heard. So what we do really well, because of all the experience and being in larger companies and smaller companies that I've done before, it's responsiveness. It's about if I can show these small business owners that I'm responsive, that I care, that I will be thinking about their company when the other big guys wouldn't be.
Right.
That's where it really makes a difference, and that's where the relationships that I've formed with my clients have been built up.
Mm-hmm.
And I have great relationships, good rapport. We go in, I walk into their office and it's like old friends getting together.
Yeah.
And that's what's special to me, because I was in that corporate world for a long time where we had thousands and thousands of employees.
And you're a number.
We're a number, and we catered to unseen and unknown clients who just gave us money, and we didn't know who they were or what their backgrounds were, anything about them. So diving into this particular small business arena has been very just fruitful for us, because it shows that even if you're not making millions of dollars, if you're impacting a business in some small way, you're improving their
community.
Oh, you're improving their business and the community at large. And it's a trickle down effect. And when they see that, oh, there's good people out here willing to help, then that opens their eyes to other good people that are willing to help. And it's just one of those things. There's so much negativity in the world. There's so much just craziness going on. If we can simplify and just hone in on the good aspects of what's going on, and there's so many great examples of small business owners who are trying to make a difference and trying to survive and provide for their families. And if we can do just those little things to help, that's what we're all about.
It's huge. It's really huge. And I thank you for doing that too, as a small business owner.
Exactly.
Because it's all of us as a village, holding each other's hands and helping each other, that really makes a difference.
Right.
And it's making it impactful for those not only that are in small business, but also you've got lots of people who are now getting ready to take that leap, and they've been like you were. And I want you to share your story, because you were in finance and like a long time out there as an employee, but now you're helping people who want to start their own companies figure out that and pivot out of corporate and into their own dream.
Right. And I think when I grew up, it was, okay, you go get a job and you stay at that job and you don't complain and that's it. And I'm like, well, that's not how it worked out for me. I got into a job, and it was, on the outside, you look in at me and I'm like, oh, he's got a good job. It's in finance. He's going up the corporate ladder. Everything is as it should be.
Right.
And that's not what I felt. And I hid it from myself. I tried to talk myself out of it, that, oh, certainly I'm doing it right because that's what everyone else is telling me. But when I really, really reflected on my journey and where I was, and I got married, I had kids, I was still in the same job, and I just didn't feel like I was making an imprint. I wanted to create a legacy. I wanted to create something more than just myself. So when I really began to intertwine that in my own consciousness, and realize that I can do something different. I can make more of an impact. But what is it that I can do?
Right.
And that's the scary part for a lot of people. I think a lot of people find themselves in a position where they just don't know how to extricate themselves, and they don't know that they can take a leap of faith and it will be okay, because they're scared to death of what could happen. And granted, people need to make those steps with intention,
right,
and with an awareness of what their current situation is, because you certainly don't want to push someone off the ledge when they're not ready,
right,
and if they don't have something to fall on a cushion. Be smart with it. You have to be understanding of kind of what the parameters are that you're wanting to get out from. So what I do to help people out is I really just listen to what their current situation is, listen to what their goals are, listen to what excites them and energizes them. And you don't necessarily have to jump into something that you're completely passionate about.
Right.
That's great, but if it's just something that kind of energizes you to go, you know what, I can do this for a while and be really happy with it. And you can have passions on the side, your hobbies, your family, whatever it is that turns you on, you can do all that, but still you can jump into a new path for your career, and that can be equally as fulfilling. So it's one of those things where I try to help, just lead people in the direction that they already know is within them, but they're scared to really just talk to someone about it.
Mm-hmm.
And what I found is by having these sessions with people, and the more comfortable they become with you, the more they'll let out, and the more that you can see within them, and then I can mirror that back to them, and they realize all along that, oh, I know the answer. I just was kind of scared to admit it.
Right.
And once they admit it,
yeah,
that's the huge just inflection.
The wow moment.
The wow moment to where they're like, okay, I can go in a different direction, and I am going to be okay.
Yep. And it's so funny too, because people think that you're flying without a net. Like that's the thing about corporate America that's so deceptive, is that all my sisters in this same mode. You know, when they have insurance and they have days off and they have everything and it's all handheld and it's kind of like high school.
Right.
It's really scary to think that now you're just driving your own car, and you're on your own, right? And if you want to do this, you go do this. If you don't want to do this, you don't go do this. You don't have that if you don't buy that or whatever it is, right? So many people who have started their businesses during the last year and a half, during the channel starting and honestly, not to date it, but the pandemic, have come to me and said things like, oh, I'm so scared to fly without a net. And I'm like, but you have a net. You have your network, you have your people, you have me, you have people like you. You're not flying without a net. But people have this idea that working in corporate or working for a company is flying with a net. And that those of us that are, entrepreneurs for small or large businesses are somehow flying without one. It's just interesting, the mindset and how you're able to pivot their mindset. And once that mindset is pivoted, their wow moment happens, and then they just kind of know how to take off.
Right. And I think it really stems from the fact that people associate risky with being an entrepreneur.
Yeah.
You know what? It's equally as risky just being an employee. Really, and when you look at the grand scheme of things, I mean, the companies don't owe you anything. They can let you go at a moment's notice. And so it's that mindset. You're right. It's the mindset shift, the reboot that I think people are going through, especially nowadays, going with all the resources available. You can learn to learn and learn how to do things that you can monetize, and you can create things just from your own wherewithal that you probably didn't or weren't capable of years ago, just because of the technology, because of the networks and the audiences that you can build just organically through just
social media.
Social media. Yeah, right. One thing I went back to do that I really enjoyed earlier in life was writing. And I started just writing more and more, and I started writing on LinkedIn, and it opened up a whole new audience to me that way. But the writing is for me, and it's about creating that internal voice that I know I have, but I want to get it out there. And so many people, I don't want to put myself out there. I'm apprehensive about, showing people what I'm thinking about or what I'm feeling. And I was like that. I was that person for years and years.
Really?
I was so introverted. I never shared my opinion or my point of view on things. And until I got to that point where I realized I don't care what other people think anymore. I want myself to come through and shine.
How old were you when that happened?
Oh, I'm not sure I even want to admit it. I was in my 40s.
Yeah.
So
I think that's the case.
Yeah.
I have written that Sweet Life column for 18 years. And I have I'm opinionated. Those that know me know that, and so I'll start talking about somebody tried to arrest somebody for breastfeeding in North Carolina, and I went off on a tear years ago, and that column got actually published in Spanish for Mi Familia magazine in Houston too, because they picked it up. They were like, oh my God, Auntie. But not being afraid to say who you are, what you believe in, what you think about this, that, and the other is just part of growing up. And I think that 40s and 50s is when it happens. Unfortunately, so many people have spent 20 some odd years of their life in the wrong job.
Right.
So my goal with you, and this is a promise to my viewers, because y'all have been watching me, you know what I'm up to, is to help the young guys. I want your help. We talked about it before we went unmiked up, because they're brand new. And I don't want the James Edwards and the Victoria Anns, which y'all also know are my children because y'all watch me all the time. But I've created entrepreneurs. I have children that are wanting to do that. That's what they want to do and be. And navigating through that is a different navigation than Daddy saying to me, okay, you're going to go do this, and you're going to get school, and you're going to get a law school, and you're going to go get a firm, get a da-da-da-da-da-da, and then you're going to do what he did, which is retire, and then a year later with heart disease and diabetes, and it was miserable, and malpractice insurance, and every day worrying about delivering a baby and maybe getting sued, even though he never was, and he was an excellent surgeon. There was always this worry around what he did, even though he loved what he did. It was not the right fit for his personality, and it killed him. You know, he ended up dropping dead. And so that is not living your sweet life. And that is not what I want for my children. I don't want it for my young entrepreneurs. I don't want it for the older executives that you're taking care of too. I don't want it for anybody. I want everybody to figure out, if there's not one thing from this whole channel experience, Martini Talk, any of it, is to how to live their sweet life, which is basically what you're doing too, is really showing people the absolute fit that they're supposed to be called to do and how to do it.
Exactly.
Which is why I loved having you here, and want to thank you again for being here as well, because you and I are aligned in everything about the vision. So
well, I really appreciate it. It's been a lot of fun.
Yeah. Well, listen, guys, I hope that you found some value in this Martini Talks, and if you did, do me a favor, like and share. Don't forget to ring the bell, and we'll see you soon on the channel. Take care.